A lot of people hear systems and KPIs and think it's a big corporate spreadsheet, but let's keep it simple. Think of it as like... What's up? If you don't know who I am, my name is Matt. I run a B2B consulting agency named Nova. And in the last video, I did an interview one of my clients, Tone. We basically went through an hour of discussing exactly how Tone scaled his business 10 times in just 90 days. When Tone came to me, he was at 4K a month. He was struggling. He had no direction. He didn't know what content to post. And what we did was we stripped down his business completely, from content strategy to sales strategy to setting to sales assets. And we broke all of that down in that 1 hour video, literally not leaving anything out so it's implementable for you. So basically in this video, I'm going to be talking about one thing that we discussed inside that call, which is systems and KPIs. I felt like it was too important not to make a separate video about. These are the systems that we use as a business to not only scale Tone from 4K to 42K a month, but all of our other clients from 10K days and from 15K a month to 110K a month, and also allowed us to close $18,000 within the first week of launching Nova in itself. So if you're the type of person that usually glazes their eyes over the word KPI because you think it's spreadsheets and very corporate stuff, this video is going to be breaking down the exact way we tore down Tone's KPIs and figured out systems to implement in his business to make sure that you guys can actually implement it for your businesses. A lot of people hear systems and KPIs and think it's a big corporate spreadsheet, but let's keep it simple. Think of it as like just your gym routine. A system is just your workout split. It's kind of like a step-by-step guide of how to get new clients or how to fulfill for your clients. So every single day you're not just guessing and you know exactly what to do instead of waking up and being confused. Firstly, inside Tone's business, the first things that we built up was a Nova CRM. It's basically our client portal that we have the sales team run EODs in, so we can figure out their sales metrics, their bottlenecks, and just one way to figure out exactly when the leads come in, what are their main problems, and what inputs we have to keep adding to make sure we either get more book calls or we have to increase average order value, let's say. It's basically just a booking management that makes the sales process as seamless as possible. In terms of fulfillment, the main thing that we kind of did is understand the actual client journey from the onboarding process up until the very, very end of the program in itself. So based off that, we figured out what are the repeatable patterns and make sure that these repeatable patterns, the ones that we say or do, they are SOP'd out and they made into videos or modules specifically so we can make it as hands-off as possible, buying more time for Tone to figure out his content or, put more effort into higher leverage tasks. But systems, to be honest, can be part of the sales process in itself. I think people forget this a lot. One of the biggest things that we changed inside Tone's process in terms of sales is understanding what people would think would be the best thing to do, which is the budget question inside Accountly. If you guys don't know what Accountly Link is, it's basically a program that we use to not only book new appointments, but also have a form to ask questions to our leads before they book in. They also help us with the post-booking process, which is the time between the actual book call and when the call is at, whether we send VSLs, which you guys should know if we have another video talking about that. But VSLs, we have the post-booking process from the setter himself and also post-booking videos. These are all can be intertwined inside Calendly as well as the DMs in itself. And one of the main things that we changed inside that post-booking process is the budget question. The budget question we completely removed. So many people are talking about, you always need to have the budget question or else how can you qualify? But the thing is, thinking logically, people can lie. If you have 0 to 1,000, please do not book. People can lie. Instead, you should have your setter actually going through the qualities and figuring out whether the lead is qualified or not just by a Calendly questionnaire at the end of a booking form. Because so many of you guys, you don't have a proper organic funnel. You don't have enough trust built out. You don't show your authority. You're trying to get your first few calls or, trying to make sure you get as many calls as possible, but you increase the sales pressure by just having that one question. If your sales is good enough, you don't need that one question. If your setting process is good enough, you don't need that one question. People should already come there knowing that they're going to invest. And most of the time, if people don't, they just get scared, right? It's kind of like the saying, if I sold you a laptop today and told you it's $2 million, just a regular laptop, right? If I told you right now, you'd probably say, no, I don't want to buy that, it's too expensive. And that's kind of what you're doing inside your program, right? But in the sales call, when we speak to each other, I tell you there's $3 million worth of Bitcoin in there. But how would you have known that if you didn't get on the sales call in itself? Because you got the price and you asked for a budget way early on, that reduces the amount of people who actually wants to buy in because they don't understand the value of what you have yet. They need to get on a call. They need to have a conversation with you before even knowing that there's $3 million of Bitcoin inside that laptop. Think of it like that. That's kind of like the easiest way of explaining on why we removed the budget. And because of that, we got on more sales calls. We ended up increasing the average order value. And also, again, we 10 times the business in 3 months, right? It's just by the one simple question. Obviously, there's other variations and all of the other inputs inside it, but this is one big thing that we realized to make sure that Tone got onto more sales calls, got better at sales, and ended up increasing his closing rate. Next, KPIs, or key performance indicators. Key performance indicators are just numbers to make sure that you have the base numbers of the performance of your sales team or even fulfillment team. It's just like how many messages did you send out or how many outbounds did you send out? Just a way to actually keep your sales team accountable and understand that, okay, you have the numbers, you have the statistics, so when there is a bottleneck, when there's a leak, you know how to patch it up and where to patch it up. It's very, very good. It not only holds your team accountable, but it does help you understand the data that you need to scale. So you know which problems to fix or which problems you need to, address quite seriously. But the thing with KPIs is that KPIs are based off of industry average. And again, why would you want to go industry average if you want to be doing a lot better? You want to be improving and performing a lot better than what everybody else is doing. And one thing that KPIs do is that KPIs also are kind of confusing because so many mentors out there, and I know because of experience, that they use KPIs as a way to cope, right? We have people who set KPIs for their setters. Let's say they tell them to book in 100 calls a day or 3 calls, 5 calls, 6 calls a day, or outbound 300 times a day, especially with Meta not allowing as many outbounds and as much activity inside the actual Instagram account. It becomes so much harder to do so. And the thing is, those are just cope. Why? Because you can't expect one person, a setter, to book in as many calls as you want them to book without you intertwining that into your actual organic funnel, right? Setters are there just to facilitate the lead into getting on a call with you, right? It's your job to build the trust. It's your job to build the authority. So if you tell your setter to book in 3 times more calls and you're not doing 3 times more in posting out content or learning about content or focusing on creating value and building trust inside your actual organic funnel, then it's impossible, right? It's just putting a plaster on a broken leg. That's why KPIs are a little bit confusing, and it changes and varies a lot when you are, different strategies means different KPIs. But one of the main things that we figured out did the best for Tone, especially placing a setter on board, was that there are 2 main key metrics that we have and we track on top of, every single metric there is in the space. We track specifically conversations with qualified leads had a day, right? And number of book calls. Those are the only 2. Those are the only 2 that make sense. And I think myself matters. And for Tone, it also encouraged the setter to do more and focus on quality rather than quantity in itself. That increased the show up rate. We went up to 90% show up rate, increased the closing rate. And every single conversation, most of the time, it resulted in a 20% convo to book call, right? It shouldn't be just volume. Your conversation shouldn't be like 150, but none of them actually get on call and close. You want to focus on keeping conversations, making sure that they're qualified, and the outbounds and focusing on creating new conversations are based off how much the setter can actually handle. Because realistically, you can't have 150 qualified conversations that actually do well unless your setter is out of this world. You want to focus on making sure that this certain setter is doing the best they can do, the best quality conversation with the maximum amount of people that they can be. And usually for us, at least with Tone, that's around 20 to 30 conversations with qualified leads daily and resulting in 1 or 2 book calls a day. And from there, AOV increased, less calls, but a lot higher average order value and a lot more quality clients.